So have you recently started a garden and you got your plants, whether you started them by seed or you bought them, you got them in the ground, they started growing, they're looking really good, you're excited, and then all of a sudden something starts eating your precious plants. Yeah, that is the worst thing. It is hard enough taking a young plant, whether you start from seed or you buy it, get it in the ground and create the perfect environment for it to flourish, to have something start eating it before it's had a chance to get going. Now, it's happened to me quite a bit. I live on acreage, so I've got a lot that I have to contend with. Today we're going to talk about these screens, these DIY screens for my raised beds that my husband Evan built me, how I'm going to use them and how they're going to protect my plants. But first, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can grow along with us this season. Kellogg has gardeners from all over the country that have already put up some videos, but will continue to share their gardening experience with you all through the summer and into the fall. So you'll be able to see what you should expect. Also, if you start to get into trouble or you need to check things out, you'll have a great resource for that. And also, if you like the video, go ahead and tap that like button. That'll help other people find us. All right, so here are my screens. I'm very excited about this. And I'm going to show you a couple of different angles. So first, what I did is, this is planted right now with some rainbow beets, so beets in every color. It's got onions, as you can see. It had a couple surprise plants. They're either squash or zucchini that popped up, which I was excited about. Now, this space for me, I was technically supposed to be moved out a couple of days ago. But we ended up staying, so I haven't planted out these beds that well just yet. So I needed to, one, after we figured out we were staying here, start getting some plants ready. But what I noticed is that something started finding this garden and started eating it. Now, on the top here, I have some row cover fabric, and I'm going to show you what I've been doing with this row cover fabric. I actually used it to cover my plants first, and we have some videos on row covers, so I definitely recommend you watch that. I think row covers are awesome for your soft-bodied or flying pests. I think it will really save your plant. So how do I know that it is larger critters that are coming after my garden? Well, one is that it completely destroyed this, right? It just really came through my row cover and just beat it up. I mean, just shredded it to get in. So that's one way I know. It's got to be something that can rip through my row cover. The other way that I know that it was a bigger pest is, some of it is the damage. It's really that row cover that told me, but it's what they're going after and how much damage they're doing while they're in there. So here we have rabbits, we have ground squirrels, we have field mice. I have some really large grasshoppers, and I have some lizards. The grasshoppers wouldn't do that. That's part of the reason I put the row cover on there. People say that lizards don't eat your garden. I've had lizards as pets. They do like greens too. So could it be a lizard? Possibly. I'm banking a little bit more on field mice and squirrels, but it could be either. So my row cover is not working anymore to keep things out.
So the way that we built this enclosure is that we built individual screens, and then I will be putting those screens together using some hinges. Right now I just have them in the bed with some little ties on it, and I actually might do some zip ties, but I didn't build an enclosure that is, say, one piece that could go on the basically on the outside of the bed, go around the bed, and that's because I wanted it to be versatile. I wanted to be able to store this, take it on and off as I needed to, and use it on different beds. If I don't need it out here, I can use it somewhere else. So right now I have 8 screens that we built. 2 for the top, 2 for the sides, and 2 for the ends. Now, technically, I'd rather have them instead of in the bed. Right now, it's in the bed. I would like to have them on the edge, but I need to protect these plants, and the way that they're planted, this is the best way for me to put that right now. Plus, I have this trellis right here, and I have to consider how that trellis is going to, see how if I had it on the edge, it would interfere with these panels. So again, I want it to be versatile.
It was getting hot over there, so the sun's coming out. Great, they need the sun, but I don't need as much. So we're going to talk about material and construction here in the shade. All right, so I have 2 things right here. I have hardware cloth and I have poultry wire or chicken wire. In the beginning, I have tons of chicken wire and it's really cheap. So I asked Evan to build me a screen out of chicken wire. The problem is that the hole size is just way too big. So little field mice can get through this no problem. And I use chicken wire when I put up a new little plant. You know, I might put chicken wire around it so it's a little bit harder to get to. When I put up my row cover, I actually used little chicken wire tunnels. I have some, I think it's 9-gauge wire that I could make hoops out of, but the chicken wire actually helps protect it a little bit more. So I made these tunnels out of chicken wire and then I laid my cloth over it. And again, that worked for a little while, but they were able to get through. So I needed to use something with a smaller hole size. And this right here, this hardware cloth, is about 1/4 inch. So it's really, really small. Now the downside to hardware cloth is it's more expensive. It is expensive. This is 2 feet by 100 feet, or it might be 50 feet. I'll have to ask. We looked at both. This, I think this is 50 feet. So 2 feet by 50 feet. So I'm going to have this for the rest of my life. So I will be able to use it for quite a bit. Now I've used hardware cloth that say 1 inch by 1 inch for trellising. It's a little harder to come by when you start going into the larger opening sizes. But I do like hardware cloth. It's just, in this instance, I need the hole size to be a little bit smaller. It's hardy, it doesn't rust that easily, whereas the chicken wire does rust. So con for chicken wire, it rusts and the hole size is a little too big. And pro for the hardware cloth, it doesn't rust and I can get smaller hole sizes. Now, on top of it being expensive or more expensive, it also has sharper edges. So I'm not wearing gloves right now. I am walking on the wild side. But when you handle it, and when I'm handling especially these panels, I wear my gloves because I've got some sharp edges on the corners. Now you could try, on the edges, not really the corners. You could try and bend over the little pieces after you cut them. That might work. That was a lot of work. I'm just gonna wear gloves because I'm lazy, okay? So we bought this at one of our local hardware stores. I think you could order it online also, but it is heavy, so you might have to pay shipping on that. Okay. So your big box stores, smaller local hardware stores should have this, or they could order it for you. Now, as far as the panels go, they're made out of redwood, and we had 2x2, so we had 2x2 pieces of redwood. I believe they were 8 feet long. We used them for a few trellises, a cucumber trellis, a ladder trellis, a tomato trellis that's behind me, and then a fancy, what my husband calls a fancy trellis. We used it for that. And then he ripped those pieces down for me. So these are 1 inch by 1 inch. So I could get some screens out of them. I like the redwood. It's going to be great for handling the water and the sun, right? This is what you'd build your decking out of. It also wasn't that expensive for us to get it. I think it was about $3.50, or right around that, to get one of those 8 foot long pieces. So this is, I forget the dimensions, I think it's about 2 feet. Yeah, it's just over 2 feet. It's like 2.5, 2.5 feet in length, and then about 27 inches in height. Now, when I say length, that's not the, so for the 27 inches, that is the actual piece that's 27 inches. And then the piece on top is just, it's about 20, yeah, about 22 and a half. And it's fit inside the other two, and that's why the total dimensions are 24 and a half. Now, our measurements are based off of those 2 long raised beds in the back. I wanted to be able to do 3 panels on each side, 1 panel on the ends, on each end, and then 3 on the top, and create my box for that. So that's how we got our dimensions. You'd need to measure out your raised bed to figure out what dimensions you need. So the other thing, to save some money, because you can spend a lot of money, right, building all of these things. All I had him do, so he put the frame together, screwed it in, nailed it, gave it some extra, I think he used wood glue as well. You'll see that in the build, some of the build footage. And then just stapled the hardware cloth onto the front. Now, if I wanted this to be a little more secure or a little more finished, I might sandwich the wire in between 2 pieces. That would help me with the sharp edges, and it would give it a cleaner look. Now, I don't need to do that. I just want to cover this to protect my plants. So, and I'll wear gloves sometimes when I'm handling it, right? So that's how we saved a little bit of money on that. Now, the other thing I wanted to do, so what I see a lot of is that people build their screens as a 1 piece, so a big box over your bed, which is a little cumbersome if you don't have a lot of room. And I don't have a lot of room back there because there's a fence around those beds. Plus, I'm kind of little. I am. I'm 5'2", possibly 3 if I'm standing up really straight, and trying to get big things on and off and move them around. We have a lot of wind here. I just wanted something that was easy for me to put together, take off. If I want to take pieces off, if I want to build a smaller box, if I want to go 1 by 1 by 1 and just build a square to protect something, or like I have it now where I have 2 panels on each side and then 1 on each end, I wanted it to be really versatile. And if we built a big box over the top, we would have saved money on material on some of the wood, but it would be cumbersome for me. So instead, I got these slip rod hinges, and I was thinking, how could I put these panels together? Now, for right now, I'm going to zip tie them because I have them inside the box. So I'm going to really just, it's going to be just zip ties. It's not fancy, nothing to see here type of thing. But as we go through the season, into the fall, I'll be able to plan better because I know we'll be here for another 6 months, so I can start hinging then. So basically I can put this on one side, right? So it's here, and then one on the other, on another one, and then they just slip together. So I can take them apart and then I can just slip them together. I'm so excited about this. I got these on Amazon. They're pretty inexpensive, or at least like I thought that you could get them. The more you order, you know, the less they are. So I got some of these. They just screw in, and I'll put a link to the ones that I got in the description. Now up on the top, there's something I didn't think about, and that is that all of these really fit together side by side, right? So, you know, I hinge here, I have a hinge on the side of this one, so I could hinge it or I could put them side by side. Now when it goes on the top, what ends up happening is it slides down in, right? Because it fits perfectly in between all three. Well, the problem with that is that even if I hinge it, I'm gonna have a problem slipping them in. I'd have to hinge 3 sides, and I don't want to do that. So I hadn't thought about that. So here's a couple of things that we're going to plan, and there will be a part 2 to this. Is 1, I either build the top pieces a little bit bigger so I can just lay them on top, or my husband Evan said I could use an L bracket, and he would just put an L bracket on 2 of them that I could take on and off if I want, and then I would just lay this on the L bracket. See, always thinking Evan is. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do just yet. I think right now we'll do the L bracket just for that bed, but we're building more of these for the other bed. So we'll kind of figure that out, because I could use the 2 pieces we have right now for the top as sides for the other bed, and then just build bigger ones to go on the top. But that's where I'm at. I'm very excited about this. You saw that when I put it up, all I did was put the tops up and then lay my row cover over it. And that right there there's been no damage, none, since I put this up. I am very excited about that, because that means my plants can work on coming back and growing strong. I've got a bunch of seeds started to go in that bed next, so I can really get those beds growing and take advantage of the rest of the growing summer season. So I'm very, very excited about that. So I will put in some clips of Evan building this. It was a pretty simple build, just a few cuts, a little bit of glue, some nails and some screws and some staples, really. But I'll put that in for you, and then I'll also give you some updates throughout the season on how it's doing, how much I like it, or if I think that they're kind of a pain to work around. So thank you so much for joining me again. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And if you like the video, we would love a like. That helps other people find the videos. So really helpful to tap that like button. So go ahead and leave any comments you have, if you have any questions, in the comment area, and I will answer them, or I'll ask Evan and get some answers from him. All right, so happy gardening, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.